literally just getting it up.
Yeah. Figuring it out. Get the flavor of Columbia City Fire Department.
For me, it's I like to be able to have double recording, so I'm gonna put the mic and I'm gonna record that just in case it pulls out.
Never know.
No, that's like I said today. We were supposed to be here. I wanted to get here early and have some coffee with you and chill out for a bit. It doesn't seem to work sometimes like that. All right, cool. Make sure I got this.
I hope my Dillman technology curse doesn't affect
Well,
this.
no.
That always happens with me. I always feel like I'm around people, or I'll go to someone's house and all of a sudden
That tech won't work?
DVD or I don't know, whatever. Will be like all weird.
No, you're good. This is perfect stuff here. Let me go. But you have good plans for the day, or just
going there. Gonna go there. We're gonna have dinner. Yeah.
It's cool.
And then I have Sundays and Mondays off, so this is my Friday.
Well, thank you for being here and doing this. 'Cause, like, I guess what are your apprehensions about it?
It's that I think most people could relate. I think maybe like saying the wrong thing, not sounding right. My voice also is upstate New York, so it's like like nasally. And so
Don't worry. Listen, I've done hundreds of podcasts.
Cool.
Do they all sound the same?
This will be the one that's the word.
No, absolutely not. No, you know what's funny about this though is that like when I was recording my first one, it was trash. Excuse me. I'm gonna grab some back.
Yeah.
It was trash. Like I mean, I literally was like feedback. You hear like a bunch of sirens.
Yeah.
And then I realized, okay, you can edit that stuff out.
Yeah.
Just get it going. Just all you gotta do is get it going. And the main thing is the message. People are not gonna be so concerned about. Like, did she sound? I don't think she sounded.
I know,
right.
and I know it's all just unhelpful thoughts I'm having. It's just whenever you do something new, I always get a little. It's like, all right, push through it.
I think you're not the only person though. 'Cause, like literally, even coming up to here, like I could talk to you about imposter syndrome, all that. It's like, am I gonna be a good host? Am I gonna make you at least be able to feel comfortable and safe in the space, right? And that's where. For me, that's what I always want anybody I speak to know that this is a safe space. You know what I'm saying? And this is a place where if you don't feel comfortable like talking about it, we can say I just don't want to go there, and that's fine, right? It's not going to be like a deep dive into the psyche or anything like that. It's just us having a conversation. I just so happen to be a life and success coach, and if some things come up or some questions come up that you might want to just talk about or ask. This is like that forum, so it's really just a free-flowing conversation. Me and you kind of getting to know each other a little bit better, and then the audience, of course, whoever hears this, get a chance to hear you as well and your story, because it's important. Because the reason we're here is because I literally was like, you started off as a grade school teacher, right?
Yeah, grade school.
Okay, you keep going. Because we're recording.
Oh, we're going.
Here.
Okay.
No, because I'm recording here anyway.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where I'm going to record a few different. Sources, but we can still keep going and capture this content as well when I'm getting set up here. So like tell me more about what made you wanted to be a teacher, I guess, at the beginning, which is a noble, blessed profession.
Yeah, I think I always, from a child, I wanted to be a teacher, and I always thought I would be an art teacher, but which is strange because I didn't naturally go into college for teaching. I wanted to go into film because I was like, I'll make films, but somehow I knew I'd always be a teacher. I just felt it, you know. I just worked got out of college, kept working jobs, serving, bartending, cleaning hostels, toilets, bath, just hostels, whatever. Worked at a record store, worked at a laundry, whatever. And then, moved to Seattle because my friend got me a ticket to see Radiohead. And I was like, I don't have money for the plane ticket. She's like, oh, I got you the plane ticket too. And so when I got here and I just fell in love with the city because I knew I didn't want to live in upstate New York for, the rest of my life. And so then I thought, okay, this is the place where I'm going to start the teaching thing, go to teaching school and do the master's, blah, 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 and all that, and the teacher certification. And then, was in the school and just then I just started noticing the things I really liked about teaching was kids making things. There's so many challenges in the school system. Everybody knows about it. And I stopped really feeling enjoyment because, you know, there's meetings and paperwork, and I felt like there was just, I didn't have the right kind of boundaries internally too to go home and leave my work at home.
Sure.
And so I just thought, will I quit? Will I quit teaching? Because it was such a stressful circumstance.
Wow.
So bad. Very unsafe circumstances as well at the school. Like one of my fellow teachers almost passed. She was almost killed in the school environment, which I won't talk about. That actual school. It doesn't exist anymore. But I found eventually that I knew that I still wanted to teach. And so I just literally ran into this online. And it seemed like the right fit for me. Yeah.
As the trucks go by.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but that's where everybody has points in their life where they're transitioning. They're trying to figure out kind of like, is it me? Is it the system I'm in? You know, because I struggle with that too. Like when I was in corporate, it was a lot of great things about it. But as I got kind of rising through the ranks, like that wasn't my big thing. It was really to kind of take care of my family, right?
Yeah. And
understand, okay, this is what I love. But as I kept going through these systems, I was like, this is not what I thought it would be, you know, and it kind of tainted the idea, the purity I had of, I just want to get in here and help people, of course, help my family. And so what I heard is that it wasn't the teaching part of it. It was more so like the environment that you find yourself in. And it was just like, damn, do I stop what I enjoy doing, you know, because of the environment I'm in?
Yeah, and it made me question whether maybe the reason why I'm so stressed out is because I'm just not good enough and I'm not meant to be a teacher. And I thought that was like part of my identity because I chose, I'm like, since I was younger, I'm like, oh, I'll be a teacher. I just feel like that's right for me. But then when things were just so hard, I'm like, oh, it's because I'm not good enough at this. I should just change jobs. But then I just figured, you know, there's all different kinds of personality styles out there. And, you know, some people can work within that kind of environment and do really well.
Right.
And not everyone can. And so I think just realizing that took a while, but I'm, you know, yeah.
No, that brings us to why we're here. No, thank you. And I want to give it justice. We'll just go right into it. If that's cool. Like everything that we've discussed, we can add that as well. And it's just, I just love capturing just real conversation because that's really what it's about. And so, just for the context, I'll give my intro.
Okay. Oh, you're doing the thing.
I'll do my intro. No, that's all good.
Yeah.
I can do that as well. Here, that way you can hear. So you don't say, it's not, that's all right.
That's fine. I know what I sound like.
You know,
I know exactly what
I promise you you're good here. All right, I'll keep that part. Thank you once again for doing this because I know it's not, it's going to be nerve-wracking, but it's not too much, right? Cool. All right. We are back once again here with a new episode of With All Due Respect. I am your host, Allan Howard II, and it's an honor and always a pleasure to be here. You never know how life is going to take you, and I have a special guest with me here, and I'm going to let her introduce herself as well as her story. When we met, it was chance and happenstance. My kids were going to one of her classes she was teaching, and I'll let her get into her story as well. But once again, thank you for being here. I know that you could be anywhere, and you chose to be here to have this conversation with all due respect. And so I appreciate you. And Nicole, I'll let you take it away from here.
Thank you. With all due respect, thank you for having me. My name's Nicole Dillman, and I met you, Allan. Allan Senior, right?
Yeah.
At Kids Carpentry. I teach carpentry to 5 to 13-year-olds, and both of your sons were here for class, and we just, hit
it off.
Yeah.
And I was so intrigued because a lot of people that listen to the podcast or know my story know that there was a lot of transition in my life as far as this is the profession I enjoy, or this is what I thought I wanted to do as far as engineering and things like that. I still enjoy it. But as I rose through the ranks, if you will, and I started to get into the actual practice or the actual corporate life, I found that there were some things that I didn't like about it. And so being in the transition period, I felt like maybe there was something that I was doing wrong, you know, and we had a conversation where you were telling me about, you know, how you started off as a teacher and transitioned into carpentry, which I found fascinating because I'm not good at carpentry, and I know, and this might not be data on this, but I'm assuming that there's not a lot of women in carpentry. Just as when I was in engineering, I think there's more now, but there wasn't a lot of women in engineering, and I always found that fascinating. That hey, even if this is a predominantly dominated field, whether it's racially dominated or culturally dominated, it's still something that could be scary and daunting. And so when you told me about that, I was like, well, let me dig into your story, if you don't mind, of kind of how you made that transition from teacher to teaching, again, but in a different realm. And so I would just love to kind of hear, you know, maybe some of those things you were kind of going through that maybe shifted you to kind of do carpentry instead of just teaching in schools.
Yeah. I think, I mean, outside of just the school system, just having so much energy spent on things that weren't actual teaching, like in the moment, like during the day, I just really loved anytime I got a chance to do extra, like a craft activity, any kind of art project, you know, any time that I had left over barely, you know, to do that. I just felt like that was the most fun, most engaging. There was so much learning going on, especially like with fine motor skills and gross motor skills. Right. And it's so important, not just learning, you know, 1+1 kind of stuff. So, and so I just loved it so much. And I just also have been making art and building stuff my whole life, like just constantly. So it just was a natural fit. Nice. And I wondered, does teaching have to be, teaching's only this kind of teaching in a classroom, or it has to be in this kind of building, or, and I found this, and it just seemed like the exact right fit for how I want to teach. Nice. And I know how unique it is. Yeah. I mean, and I don't know the statistics on how many female carpentry teachers there are. I'm assuming it's pretty low.
Yeah. We can put some stats in there.
Yeah.
Later. Yeah.
You could just go to a Lowe's or a Home Depot and see how many ladies are in there, and then like just getting actual tools and stuff. Other than you could take a guess. So I don't know.
But you're right. I mean, I think, and we talked a little bit about this before we got on, but just that feeling of kind of like, maybe I'm out of my depth here, you know, with no evidence though. There's no evidence to it, right? It's just one so, because I don't see a lot of, you know, a particular group or a particular entity. It can be just daunting because you maybe feel like the first, or feel like I said, maybe I'm not good enough. Or at least for me, I know that's kind of how I felt. Just because I didn't see examples of what was possible. Yeah. You know, and it was like, well, being the first, you're like, well, what examples do I have, right? Yeah. If I make a mistake, you know, are people going to laugh at me? These things as young leaders, young kids, we don't know who's speaking into us, right? And things like that. And so that's, for me, I had to go on that journey of understanding, like, what is it really that is driving me to do these things, whether it's logical thinking, like you said, some of the ways that you were seeing teaching being taught, you were like, you can do a little bit different, a little bit funner, like I said, more hands-on, or a little bit more logical versus doing it for other reasons. What was your earliest kind of memory, like when you were a child, as far as like what did you want to do? I know you said teaching was kind of that thing, but was there other things that maybe that were there that you might have wanted to explore? Or
I mean, I feel like now at this point in my life, the choices I've made now by 40, it seems like I've been able to make better choices on that I can do a little bit of everything. Whereas I didn't think I would ever be able to do a little bit of everything. I felt like I needed to be in a box. Like if I'm at a school, that's my whole identity. Like that is it. All good. You know, I had this idea of like good teachers dedicate everything and they have no lives, like a martyr kind of view. Wow. That's kind of how I viewed. And it just took a while for me to realize, no, that is not a helpful thought, and it's not real, and that's also not true, because a lot of good teachers manage their time well and take care of themselves well, so they can be good enough to teach others, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, as far as, I think we were touching on, like, like being, not being one of many in this field. I think, Lauren, the director here, is really wonderful. I don't feel like I felt weird going and treated different ways, like Lowe's or something, just being a small lady, for sure, but whatever. But I feel more that parents come to me and talk to me and ask me, or they have concerns that they can't do it. Like a lot of parents are like, I'm so nervous around tools. Do you have any suggestions on how to like do this or that? Or, they get nervous because of their experiences from growing up. They'll be like, well, my uncle would only teach my brother and not me, that kind of thing. And I'm like, cool. It's nice to be able to talk to people about that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I can see you lit up when you said that, because just as a teacher in general, I've learned that there's just a heart of service there, right? Like you're not doing it because, well, I hate to say it, the pay, right? Like the pay, because if it was, if you're making 100, 200K a year, I think people would be lining up to be teachers. But once again, we talk about the quality, right? Yeah. And I'm so glad you shared that, because I think being the first, or being somebody who seemingly is out of their depth, or seemingly doing something that is hard, quote unquote, right? I'm using my finger quotes. It seems like they feel more comfortable coming and talking to you about it, right? How did you feel about that? I'm curious when people started to come talk to you a little bit more about
it's
that.
It's an honor, especially, when I'm hanging out with my friends. They're like, you built that in your yard, or you did that? And I'm like, I didn't ever think I could do it either. I get excited to be like, I'll call my dad. I'll be like, hey, I built, and he got me a bandsaw for Christmas. It was like the coolest thing. I never thought I'd be like in my 30s getting a bandsaw from my dad for Christmas and know how to use it, But it's cool when people are surprised. At first I used to have that like, why would they assume I can't do, but I'm like, but I like that now, because it's an opportunity to be like, and you can do it too. Yes. I think especially women who like of kids in our neighborhood and stuff, they're like, I saw you out there doing that, building that thing. Can you teach me? And so I've had some families come by and I'll like be in the yard or make something with them, or show them how to use the saw. And they're like, thanks. All I needed to do was just be able to use this darn saw that's been sitting in the basement, And so they feel so excited and they want to brag to their friends, like, I know how to use a saw. So. And that
brings, I can only imagine, and just having somebody speak life into me as well, that brings confidence. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that somebody's like, hey, let me just ask that question. They're probably not even understanding that they're stepping out of their comfort zone, and they're going to be forever changed, because you're forever changed, right? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, this whole premise, and once again, I thank you for sitting down and sharing some of this with us, because that is what this is about, right? Because that energy that you bring, right? That because some people might come here and have that Eeyore energy, as I call it. They're like, I'm just. Some people said this is kind of a cool thing to do. Just gonna come in here and just. It's like, no, you don't want to. You want to be uplifting, and that's what I'm hearing from you and your stories, that, it might have been tough, but because you've done some tough things, it inspires other people to want to do tough things and ask those tough questions, right? Especially
when they get surprised, like, Lauren was so wonderful. Lauren was like, I can teach you, and then you're just going to teach. I was like, do I need to go to I thought I'd have to get like a woodworking certification or something before I started here. And he's like, no, I'll teach you. And then it was so cool, like, that just having these basic skills, then I was able to do a bunch of other stuff, and then help a bunch of other, do art commissions for people who are like, can you build this particular thing for me? And it's such a, just having these few skills, and people they get so nervous and have this idea of what like woodworking is. It can be really fine woodworking and extremely challenging, but it can also be really simple. And I feel like a couple times I've taught like friends my age, they're like, that was what that was? Seriously? Like, I could pay $150 for this box on Etsy, and I could have just made it. And so it's kind of like, whoa.
and I'm hearing too, you're helping people get out of their own way. Because I've had those thoughts of, man, I just don't think I can do it. And it's just really that simple. If you just tie this knot here and this, and you go from left to right, boom, you're done. And I'm sure a lot of people listening have dealt with some of that type of thinking, right? As far as like, I think it's harder than what it really is. And they never start.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like even this podcast, like we got jammed up with the traffic, and the universe was like telling me like, let's just keep going, because I know you have a certain amount of time, I have a certain amount of time, and we were like an hour delayed because of like traffic and stuff, and so like just having that understanding about things are not always as the mind makes it seem. You know what I'm saying? Like having that, I think that control over the thoughts, because that's why I got into this work, honestly, to be able to say, let me take these thoughts that some of them probably are true, but a lot of those, I think 80,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those are just repetitive negative thoughts. Yeah. Right. And that's pretty spot on as far as some of the data that I've seen. And it's like, if we're not conscious of those things, if we're not conscious of even how others might perceive us, right? And how they're being perceived by us, it's so much meta things that are happening internally that if we don't sit down, I think, and have these type of conversations where we can reflect, where we can actually appreciate, hey, the journey might have been tough, but I'm so glad that, you know, like I said, maybe Lauren said, hey, don't worry about all this other things you're thinking about. You don't need to worry about that. There's 90 things you're thinking. We only got to do 2. Yeah. And now, hopefully, I'm assuming that helped release a little bit of that overwhelm that we all feel when we haven't done something before for the first time. Yeah, and I think what was it? My partner Jack says, oh, it's like you're getting some hard bark on you, like a tree. You know, you go through enough, and that can really crush you to a point, but then you have enough, sometimes it makes you just really sturdy. And I think if I hadn't had those, experiences at those schools, it taught me so much, but then I felt ready to do something like this that was totally new. Right. Like what you were talking about before is all the thoughts that we have. I kind of, have this approach where I'm trying to think about which thoughts of mine are helpful or unhelpful, and the different parts of me, because we all have different parts to us. Definitely. Like you can think 5 different things about one particular situation, right? And so like kind of going through all them, like, I have a thought that's really nervous, or it's like this, or like for the podcast, for example, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous, like, oh, I'm gonna sound horrible, I'm gonna say something stupid, and then the other part of me that was the helpful thing was like, oh, it's just a new experience, and the nervous part is just trying to make, it's just concerned about doing a good job, but just not in a helpful way. So I'm still glad I did it, but I guess that's just, you were talking about thoughts and stuff, so that's absolutely. I think, and that's a good segue, because just even coming over here, right? I'm like, man, I hope that she doesn't think I'm flaky, right? I'm just transparent, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I left it literally before 2 o'clock, which you could hear all the sirens. Yeah. Which everybody we're in a hot zone here. Yeah, it's an artery road, arterial. But no, I mean, just thoughts coming over here. I'm like, man, I hope, Nicole doesn't think I'm flaky. Like, I had no idea. I'm trying to leave out early enough to get here so we can, have the conversation a little bit so you're not as nervous, right? So I'm thinking these thoughts. And I was thinking, I felt bad for you, assuming that you were probably nervous and feeling bad about being late, too. So I was like, oh, I don't want them to think that it's a big deal. Like, it's fine, But I'm so glad that, this space is here. So folks who ever listen to this can hear that type of banter that goes on in our minds and actually hear the real, raw thoughts here, because sometimes I'll have these thoughts and I won't share them with anybody, right? Like I've trained enough. Like I'm not a guru, I think, yet. I'm getting there. I love it. But I'm training myself to really like just pause on these thoughts, right? Without being reactive. Like I've always thought proactivity is the activity, right? And if we can be more like chess versus checkers, then we won't be making these kind of hasty, emotional decisions, which I'm a passionate guy. Like you I can see your passion. I'm a passionate guy, but I know how to harness that now. I couldn't say that when I was younger in my career. I couldn't say that I had that, I guess, even confidence to do this, right? To even put myself out there, right? And so, like you said, I told myself, if I'm going to be an example of what's possible, I can't be saying one thing and doing something else, right? Because if you're out of that alignment, that misalignment, it's easy for people, I think, to see that. And like I said, when I met you, I'm just like, wow, like, there's something here. There's something here, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like I don't connect that often with people that instantly. But I'm like, when you told me your story, like you went from teaching in the school system, which is a completely different beast, to still teaching, which I felt that you had that passion for teaching, which you have to have, I think.
Yeah.
And you put it into something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, super incredibly grateful for you for, just taking that chance.
I'm grateful to just have met you, and your kids are so fun. They're so great and they're so sweet. And it's, and getting to meet just different people and different modes, especially different kinds of parenting, and seeing, it's just so interesting. Like, I love just just how wacky and different everything is, you know, and it changes constantly. And I think that's what I like about this in particular too. It's like, it's just my personality style. Like, I like to have a changing situation. Mm-hmm. So having different classes constantly, new groups of kids is super fun. Instead of just one group for a whole year, you know. So I think it's cool to just figure out the particular way you want to do something that's unique to your style. Mm-hmm. Whereas because there's so many different ways to be a teacher, and parents are teachers naturally, right?
Absolutely.
You're a teacher. You are officially a teacher to me, you know.
Thank you.
And a lot of people don't see it that way. Like, oh, I couldn't be a teacher. I'm like, well, you're literally all doing it all the time, you know. So
right.
Yeah.
But helping people see that, though, I think is a gift too, and not saying you are a teacher because I say it. It's more helping them see it for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the nuance of coaching. That's why I enjoy what I do. And that's another reason why I put this together, because I think there's a stigma around coaching.
Yeah.
Or even therapy, which is another modality. That's a whole different ball game. Mm-hmm. But coaching, where I saw the difference in my life when I could go through change and understand it for myself, and not go and say, comparatively to your adventure, I'm not where I should be because of you. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I had to realize, okay, if I'm going to be the change, I have to understand, okay, what is it within me that is, I think, quote unquote, broken, which we're not broken. Yeah. But society would tell us that we're broken. Mm-hmm. It's just, what are these thoughts and where they're coming from? And once I started to peel away those layers, I started to handle change just a little bit better. Yeah. I had a question about that. Like, there's been so much change, I think, throughout these last few years. Yeah. Not only in career, but in life. Like, what is your kind of methodology to dealing with change? Because I think maybe most people want to hear some of those kind of things that you do to kind of help with change.
You know, that does kind of go back to what I was mentioning about different parts of me, right? Because uncertainty is definitely a huge, not fun thing for a lot of the parts of me. I want to be, I'm not that I need control over situations personally, but I like to prepare as best I can. But then I've noticed, just being a creative person too, that uncertainty is when things can actually go the best. And I know this sounds like a cliche, but there are times where it's like, oh, if that wasn't so unorganized, I never would have come up with this particular idea to do a certain project, because I had to. It's like, so it goes back to, with change, it's, especially with COVID and how, the way everything is right now, the world on fire and all that. I just try to protect, my capacity or my energy as much as I can, because it's be really, really, I don't blame anyone who just feels completely lost and wants to just crumble, you know. But I try to think about how I can best spend my energy so that I can keep doing it and keep contributing meaningfully. I think finding the way to contribute meaningfully with whatever space and time I have, because I'm just this one little person and I can't change the whole world and all that blah blah blah, but I just have to use my energy as responsibly as I can. Right. And that makes me feel better about change, because that's the only change I can really affect, is how I'm using my energy. And so that makes me feel like, okay, well, uncertainty, if I can figure out, manage my thoughts as best I can. It's not easy. And I can manage how I spend my energy, which is part of thinking about how I'm thinking, because you can waste a lot of energy getting mad, So I think that's how I deal with change. But it's always, I assume at 40, I'll be 41 in May. Nice. A year from now, it'll feel differently, and where I'll grow on those thoughts. But yeah, it's not easy. It definitely takes it's like a it's like being on a nutritional diet of how you're thinking. Like, just spend your energy and take it in, watch what you're putting in your brain, that kind of thing. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
that was a ramble.
No. I'm glad you shared that, because a lot of thoughts were going through my head. And as you were saying it, I was thinking, how many people stay closed-minded to that and avoid that, right? I've noticed that my life change has been the most rewarding when I embrace it, right? Because like you said, that ambiguity, it's so weird because I love clarity. So when I'm in ambiguity, I'm always trying to at least help people find that. So that's why I know for me, this is my jam.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that piece of it, because there are different modalities to people. And like I said, even this, like I said, I'll bring it back to practical podcasting. Nobody would have ever assumed that I would do a podcast, right? They was like, oh, he's an engineer, he's this, or he's a father, he's that.
Yeah.
Like you said, a slew of things. You have different modalities, and the way you think about things and how you said you manage your energy is huge, because part of coaching is helping my clients manage their energy, because you only have 100% of energy, and I can't split myself 50-50, right? People say, oh, it's 50-50. I go, yeah, well, if you're talking about equality, but I'm talking about energy. I can't give 50% energy and expect 100% result. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I've always realized, okay, if I'm gonna be here present, turn off the phones, it's you and I here recording, and I've tried to do that with my life, but I didn't have all the tools like that. And then I was early in my career, it was just, how can I help everybody? How can I was people pleasing. I was 2,000% energy, and then I was wondering why I was so burnt out.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that is, especially with teaching. At the beginning, I was like, oh, I need to be the perfect robot teacher, and I'm gonna do my paperwork perfect and and like my room's gonna be perfectly looking a certain way, and I'm like, oh man, and then of course that had nothing to do with teaching whatsoever. But it was just like it was like the most wasteful part. I mean, of the concern. But yeah, like going home and like just thinking about the students and just not being able to shut it off, and like, oh, I'll do 10 extra hours of planning this weekend. Why not?
Right.
And of course, then you're crying and freaking out, and at night, and you're like, ugh. Yeah. So, I get it.
And I know for me too, when I would expend that extra energy, knowing in my body, knowing that I don't have it, it would even start breeding resentment.
Oh yeah.
Towards what I was doing. And I was like, why am I feeling this like so angry? About the stuff that I say I enjoy? That's when I really started to say, like, there's some misalignment here. Like, I shouldn't be feeling. I know what anger feels like. I play sports. Somebody punched me in the face. I'm pissed. I know what that feels like. But why am I feeling angry doing the stuff that I love? Yeah. And so that's for me. That's when I started to go, okay, I gotta start thinking more about my thoughts, like being more mindful, as you said. And so I have to constantly remind myself of that. And thank you for sharing that, because that's not easy to recognize. That's
like the part of me that I call like the worker part. That's just what I would call it. Like this part of me that's like, oh yeah, then what about this? And we could get this much done. We could do that. And I'm like, no. And for me, I'm like, from like my leader, I would say my internal like leadership chair, and be like, nope, well that was a good idea, but I'm not gonna do it the way you said. I'm gonna do it the smartest way because I mean, it's like, I would ask you, like, how do you feel, like, for me, I have to sometimes remind myself that what I'm doing is a job, and sometimes, even though it feels so passionate, but it almost I don't know if you've felt this before doing this kind of stuff, it's like, it feels so close to your, like, soul, that it's almost too much in that way. It's like I also have to remind myself, well, it is I'm full of passion, but I also have to remind myself it is a job, and there are other parts of my personality like I want to do or whatever.
And that's good awareness. And to answer your question, I do. I feel that now.
Like,
you know what I'm saying? We could be talking for hours. But like I said, I know you got to do some things in a couple of minutes. But to answer your question, I think.
Oh geez, that went by. Yeah.
I know. I'm saying it goes by so quick.
So fast.
I know. But I grapple with that every day, because it is so passionate, and I know for me, I've done a lot of the stuff that I'm doing in general for free. And that's why I had to really do the balance, because I was like, man, am I doing myself and the people that are coming behind me, my ancestors, justice, to run myself ragged, where when I do show up, I'm not able to be 100%, right? So I said, if it's, like you said, is it serving me? Is 10 more hours on this project going to serve me better, or 10 more minutes? And that's why I really look at it from that perspective of, case in point, we were going to wrap it at 3:15 if we couldn't make it. And I was like, you know what? Worst case scenario, we're going to get what we can, you know, and let the universe have this way with us, right?
Yeah.
And so I could have said, no, we're not going to do it. But whatever we can get, we know, okay, at this time, we're going to shut it off and be diligent about that.
Yeah.
And I think protecting your time, it actually allows me to show up better. That's what I've realized.
Oh, totally.
You know? Because the passion's always going to be there. It's perpetual energy. Like we can, like I can feed off your energy, and I can give you energy, and you can feed off of it, and we can be here for hours. You know, doing it just like in carpentry. Like you can sit here with the bandsaw,
and then you hurt your wrist. That's what I would be like. I'd be stretching. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't taken a break from this project, and now my wrist hurts. I'm like, great now.
And then now you can't do it for 2 weeks,
right?
Right,
Exactly.
And
especially
balance,
in your 40s. It's like you injure yourself. Watch out. You're done for
25 plus. I tell my wife too. It's 25 plus. Like, she's like, how old is your wife? I go 25 plus. You know, I don't know her age. She looks 25.
She looks really young.
So similar, right?
Oh, thank you.
But no, thank you again, Amaya. We can keep going if you would like. I don't know how much time you have.
Let's 15. 15.
Oh, perfect. Okay. No, thank you for that question. Like, do you have any other questions? Because I mean, that keeps the conversation live. I love it.
I do. What brought you, the homeschooling, right? I'm always curious, and I never really get to ask parents this. I mean, we talk about homeschooling and that kind of stuff, but I never get to ask them questions.
Okay.
So what, I guess you were asking me how did I get into this. So everyone has different reasons why they do homeschool, I'm assuming. I'm wondering how you came to do that. Have you always done it? Did you change from regular schools to that?
That's a great question. So you have a knack for podcasting already right there. Because no, it's a great question, and I've never addressed it. I think on a podcast like this. So that's once again, you guys are getting good info here. Like this is not scripted at all. So
that's for sure.
I like it because it's more organic, right?
Yeah.
Let me think about this. I can honestly say that the homeschool premise wasn't foreign to me. Like even growing up, I knew, and it's just like, this is, like you said, this other mode of me. I've always been a thinker.
Yeah.
I've always been somebody who just kind of think ahead. Like I've always felt, honestly, that it's not just me, right? Like there's something bigger at play. And as I was going through school, there was things I enjoyed about it. It was like, man, I like the camaraderie. I love the idea I get to hang out with other people, learn from other cultures. But I didn't understand, okay, why is it 8? Like, this is boring. Like, to me, I'm sitting here for 8 hours, sitting still, which, first of all, black boys we're just not bred to sit still. I think just boys in general we're just, from probably programming and evolution, we gotta get up and be competitive, or be something. And I think that's just a natural nature thing. But I always knew, this is not, for me, this is not sustainable. I know I don't want to sit still for 8 hours just to have somebody talk to me about this stuff. And as I got older, I'm like, well, is there better ways to do this? And then, and as I got out of grammar school, elementary, or quote unquote school, into middle school, I started to see that, okay, as you get older through these systems, now you're going to have time off, right? You can make your own schedule. Which I was like, oh yeah.
Wow.
When I got to college, I thrived though. I thrived because I was able to control more of my schedule, more of, I don't want to sit for 8 hours. Give me an hour and we can go intense. Boom, I'm focused, but I need to get the hell up. I need to walk around. I need to jump around, play some sports. And so I felt in my mind, I said, damn, I like this college aspect of it where you get to pick your classes, you get to, choose that stuff. And I said, at some point, you can't keep this up, what happened there? Let's keep going. You can't keep this up as far as these kids sitting still. They're just not going to sit still for these hours.
It's extremely unnatural and wrong.
And it's not good for your body. And I said, well, in my mind, I'm probably 20 at this point, probably 2000s. And I'm like, man, wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to, leave your home? You could just kind of get up. And, there's a screen or something. You can put it on a big screen and kids can talk to each other. And I literally had that in my mind now, fast forward 20 years. We have this hybrid model. We're able to do that. COVID happened. 2019. My wife and I had just had Allan. And so he was like, well, he's about 4 at this point, right? He's getting ready to go to kindergarten. He ended up going to kindergarten to Satori. Shout out to Satori. But we realized that during this time there was just a lot of kids, right? Like there's maybe like 15 to 1, 30 to 1 ratios in these schools. And I never understood how can you really address the needs personally of these children. Some might intertwine, some might intersect.
Yeah, some might be okay in that situation, but the majority,
you can't have a group think in this situation, especially when you're younger. You need to understand, okay, individually, how can each thrive? And of course, in a group setting, how can everybody thrive? And so as I started to go through tech and started to understand, like, damn, you might be able to do this. We put them in, grade school. And we just felt that there was some things lacking. And literally COVID came around and gave us the opportunity that we were online school. We were like, well, we could kind of do this. Like, if this is what it takes, we don't have to do it for 8 hours. Maybe we have a half-hour block, and then we do an hour block, and then we do a, you know what I'm saying? And so we kind of looked at it from that perspective, and it started to make more sense, especially during COVID, when I had left Microsoft, when Microsoft removed me from that space, and now I was home.
Yeah.
With my wife, and we were trying to build a reading center at the time as well. And so we're like, well, damn, we have you doing the professional childcare licensing. She had already got her childcare professional licensing, which took a year and a half. And so we were like, well, what can we do together here since I'm home now? Well, damn, I want to go back and be a life coach. I really have this opportunity to go back and learn. Yeah. And once again, COVID gave us an idea of what we could and couldn't do. And so we said, well, if this is working, let's try to homeschool as well. And we just never stopped.
Yeah, there you go. Stopped. That's so awesome. Thanks for telling me that. Yeah, I mean, there's just, whereas for you all, it was like an organic, just one step led to the other, and that's just awesome.
Well, universally, like it's one of those things where I look back reflecting, that was scary as hell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's still scary.
Yeah.
But rewarding, and we wouldn't have been able to meet, right? Because I would have been taking my son, no pun, to 9 to 5s. But there's no way we can make your class, at 11, during the day. Like, that's where I knew me and my wife had this entrepreneurial spirit. We wanted to build something of our own. We wanted to help others as well and do it on our terms as well. And sometimes you can't do that if you're in somebody else's system. Nothing wrong with that, but we want to partner. We want to understand how we can be of service and build something as well. And it just 5 years now we've been in it, and it's been a blessing.
I think it's so cool too. I would think, I'm just imagining Allan and Christian getting older and thinking back like, oh, they got to see their parents have relationships with their teachers more so than it's like, oh, you go to which is fine, whole, open houses, but you have one teacher with a bazillion parents, so you're not gonna, but I never remember my parents having a relationship with any of my teachers besides, I took an extra lollipop or something, and they're like, why, we think she took, I don't know what the heck it was, but we got to talk to her. But, so it's cool, I'm thinking oh, they're going to always have had that experience, and how different, how more interesting and rich is that. They're like, oh, my parents are friends with the teachers,
And just the fact that we're able to, and I like the fact that we can show them something different, right? And if they want to go to school, I'm all for it. I have multiple degrees, right? Not to put down the school system. I think there's pros and cons. I think we're getting better, I hope. Well, I think we are getting better with more awareness now. Yeah. But there's still the costs, things like that.
There's those
There's things that need to be discussed that will allow, I think, teachers to be extra motivated to do it. Because if you're going to pay me $20K to live in Seattle to teach, I know that's extreme numbers, but it's not so far off. Maybe 30, 40, 50, 60. Yeah. But that's still
very
low comparative to the cost of living. So that's another reason why I'm getting into things of this nature, to raise that awareness. So if somebody hears that, they can understand. At this moment in time, teachers were still underpaid. Teaching profession is still underpaid, which if you go over to Eastern culture, it's totally different. We're talking Western culture.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole other podcast coming to you, folks. No, sure.
but no, and thank you for asking that, because these are the type of conversations that I enjoy having and want to build with this community, with this podcast, is that there are people that you meet in your life, and there's a journey that they've been on, especially to that point. So holistically, I want to understand, okay, what is that person's journey? What moves them? Mm-hmm. You know, what is their raison d'etre? Like, what is their reason for being? And we talk about emotions. I'm very emotional, very passionate when it comes to, you know, telling these stories, because I know personally for me, people see me and they have this whatever view of it, and I don't mind. Like you were saying, I love to be able to have a spirited conversation with somebody, even if they don't agree with me. Yeah. Because now we can learn from each other, and if they had some type of idea or some type of underpinning thoughts of who I could have been or could be, now this is a real opportunity to have that connection and have that conversation. And I just want to say thank you for having this conversation with me and my audience here that we're building. Mm-hmm. And before I let you go here, just one more thing. Yeah. If you could tell your younger self, now seeing who you are now, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh, there's so many levels, like ways you could answer that question, right? Just my gut feeling right now, just based on the conversation we're having, I would tell myself, go build stuff. Go build stuff now. I would say because there was this program called BOCES in upstate New York, very upstate, like not Hudson fancy pants, but it was called BOCES, and it stood for blah 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 whatever. And so that was like the school where the bad quote air quotes here I'm doing bad kids go to do carpentry and hairstyling and stuff because they didn't do well in school, quote, you know what I'm saying? Right. And so I was a tiny school, 90 kids graduated class, tiny countryside, upstate New York. And so there was a big stigma around that. And so we went to one test class to go see what it was like. They took us on the bus with it. And I remember thinking, oh, this is really cool. Like, I want to do that. The machines and all this stuff and making stuff and plumbing and electrical. Nice. And I was like, oh, but this isn't, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to go to college. And oh my goodness, if I could go back and tell myself, go do BOCES or whatever it was called, I would have done. So that's probably what
Thank you.
There's my answer. It popped out.
Go build, everybody.
Yeah.
Go build. Yeah. Nicole, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was fun.
Not terrifying. I'm gonna come give you a hug.
Yeah, for sure. That was really wonderful.
Thank you so very much for this. No, this is what it's about.
It's really fun.
Honestly, guys, you heard it here. Like, listen, this is as raw as natural as it gets. Another episode with all due respect. Nicole, thank you again for taking time out on a Saturday, guys. If you didn't know, this is the commitment we're about, the excellence on a Saturday. You could have been anywhere, but thank you so much for spending time with me here in the audience that we're building. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, and thanks to everyone, all those listeners out there. There's my radio voice. Sorry.
No, so if you had, because we can talk about your film and photography career as far as learning. If you had to give a sign out, what would you give? Let's go ahead.
Oh, the sign out, like Jesus and Marrow kind of sign out, like
or just if you had to, let's say, close the show. Let's close it out.
Sign out. Boopity bop. That's what I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. That's great. I was definitely going to use that. I love it. I appreciate it.